Thank you so much. My name is Robert Ariaka. I work with Vision Group, which has Arua One World TV and New Vision. Today we're here at your home, particularly to look at the Peace Day Yumbe District is hosting on 12th of April 2025. What do you remember about the peace deal which was signed between the Uganda National Rescue Front 2 and the government of Uganda, and then under the NRA leadership?
Thank you very much. I'm Right Honorable Tuku Ismail, Prime Minister, Lugwara Cultural Institution, the Lugwara Kari. It is a great pleasure and a privilege to be brought to talk about peace, exactly what happened, how it happened, and when it happened. It's indeed a pleasure to put this to the rest of the world. I want to start with the coming in of the NRA. Remember, they came to West Nile region, particularly Arua, without a single gunshot. What happened for this to happen was that the then Agofe, the paramount chief of Lugwara, late Jason Abutia, may his soul rest in eternal peace, he gathered the elders at the White Rhino Hotel where they discussed issues of peace. You remember we had a son called Brigadier Guard Wilson Toko who mobilized soldiers to go to resist the NRA. Wanted to take, the sons and the daughters of Lugwara to go to fight at Pakwach or beyond Pakwach up to Karuma to block the NRA from entering. And the gentleman whom I mentioned here as Jason Abutia, the Agofe, disagreed and asked elders not to bless these boys, these sons and daughters. The reason was that he said we were already tired of war and we didn't want to lose more lives in such a war. So there's, the soldiers respecting the elders and the culture, their own culture, laid down arms. And they said, okay, if you have said this, we are not going to fight. And that is why NRA walked peacefully to Arua without a single gunshot. And what happened after this was that negotiations started. Many people were invited, leaders particularly, to go to negotiate across the group, across the River Nile. But most of them objected that, for the simple reason that they did not trust negotiations. They believed these were tricks and it will affect the whole performance of people of West Nile. You remember we had wars where houses were burnt. We lost many children, women, and men to these wars. And it wasn't the best experience in West Nile region. That's why we had massacres in this place. So many people were killed. We had a massacre in Odramachako. We have mass graves in Umbachi. We have those in several other places in West Nile. Now, the peace I'm talking of was initiated by the Lugwara people of Lugwara, who came as the Elders Association of Lugwara. You remember in 1967, the then government led by Dr. Apollo Milton Obote as president banned all cultural institutions. And of course, banning them meant that no activities culturally were allowed. It was until 1995, Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, as amended, that allowed operationalization of the cultural institution. That is Article 246 of our Constitution. So it is this that is being implemented. Otherwise, things were not the best. There was no trust in West Nile. Everybody was seen as an enemy. One would see the other as an enemy. And the development was that most of the people of West Nile had gone into exile in Congo, in southern Sudan, and several other places. Some even went up to Kenya. These are people from West Nile. So it made conditions very difficult for survival. In the settlements were refugees in Sudan and in Congo. Hardship was also there. But thank the NRM government for calling people back and say, we have forgiven everybody who committed, those kind of atrocities and so on. So people walked back home. And again, their coming home was also not as simple as we can imagine. People came in armed groups. They were called to go to fight. There were those for FUNA, that is the former Uganda National Army. You also had the UNRF. You had several, army groups like FEDEMO, like UPM, and so on and so forth. So this is what happened. Now that we are peaceful and we are maintaining that peace, the declaration by elders was that there should be no way of bringing war to this region. Nobody should pick a gun and point at another person. This way we will not live well. So there was no single day that people picked arms here and they went to fight. And the same time, the people who came from there did not kill for the sake of killing people of West Nile. No, they only arrested those who were criminals, those who had problems. Indeed, they were there. People ran with guns and other weapons. So the government of that time said that nobody should be having firearms within the community. There should be no guns in the houses. There should be no group for fighting. And His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, now started the peace initiative to meet the various fighting groups. Say, let us sit down and put a war behind us. And that is what people accepted. And that's why we have not had war in our region, particularly West Nile. The rebel groups from UNRF 1 and others still had arms. And they said it was for their own protection. They never trusted also the current government. It was until Hassan Bomze, Major General, brought his people together and said, let us give chance for peace to discuss with the government. And the meetings were held in Lake Victoria Hotel. People sat there to discuss, and His Excellency, the President, occasionally appeared in those negotiations, and it worked very well. That's why, to date, we are sleeping in our houses.
If you look at the role played by the cultural and religious leaders and institutions, would you say you have been able to achieve, the peaceful entry of the NRA in West Nile, and how does this relate to socio-economic transformation and infrastructure development of the region?
Thank you for that question. The cultural institutions or the cultural leaders, the traditional leaders, played a very vital role in bringing peace, leave alone maintaining it. The government is now maintaining the peace that was brought by the cultural leaders. Otherwise, without the cultural leaders meeting in the White Rhino Hotel, this would not have happened. People will have still taken to fight. And that is number one role. Number two, when the elders agreed that there should be no war, the message was now given to the religious leaders. That time we had three major religions: Islam, Protestants, and the Catholics. These were the religions where the leaders were involved in some of these meetings. Say, when you are giving sermon, please talk about peace. Tell the congregation that we do not want war. And this was now the role of the religious leader. Every cultural meeting, every cultural gala, every cultural, initiatives, peace was integrated in the speeches, in the programs. We will go for marriage. For example, the cultural leader will stand up and say, let us maintain the peace. Let us not fight, but negotiate with the government. That was their role. And to date, that is what they have maintained. And that's why we do not have, these careless wars happening. Otherwise, if they were not there to lead in this manner, we would still be fighting to date.
As cultural leaders, how do we make sure that the peace attained is sustained? Because we see, yes, many people understand peace in terms of the silence of the gun, but also the aspect of having socioeconomic empowerment, the aspects of poverty, having no money at homes is still an issue. How do we make use of this peace as we celebrate on 12th of April?
Thank you. I want to begin by saying that the absence of war is what we call peace. And we want to maintain this. How do we maintain it? All programs are, with the peace initiative. That's number one. Number two, the government of the Republic of Uganda has put trust in cultural institutions. That's why out of the 57 cultural institutions, 17 have been selected and gazetted, meaning now they implement the government programs. I want to give you an example of Lubarakari. We are inside the government because we have several meetings at that leadership, that high leadership. We have made visits to the State House to talk to His Excellency the President. We have met as people of Greater North, the cultural institutions of Greater North who have always sat to discuss some of these things. What I'm saying here is, I want to talk about Lubarakari now. Lubarakari implements government programs in about 4 or 5 thematic areas like HIV and AIDS, maternal child health, gender-based violence, family planning, end to child marriage, and reduction in teenage pregnancies. All these are government programs that we supplement as a cultural institution. The trust that we have with the government in implementing this means that this is the way to maintain the peace. And that's why we are still very peaceful. And we shall continue to be peaceful because nobody wants war now. Now, there is now empowerment of the masses, the community. For example, one, the government has introduced projects, income generating activities. Now, this is to consolidate the peace, is to bring people together to discuss and iron out issues that may not be the best. So with that, I want to believe strongly that people are being empowered. But the problem is the population has grown extremely too big, even for the government to help. It's a government with a lot of people, with very little way of supporting community. We have the youth, almost majority, and the women. What projects are there inside? We also have challenges. The people who are handed over these programs to help the community are not doing their best. At times there are shortfalls. They talk a lot about money, like the Paris development model. It is okay, they say it happens. But has everybody got this money? Have the villages all got this money? So these are the challenges we are seeing. Otherwise, it is a very good intention. We normally say too little, too late for the population. We are extremely many for Uganda. And you see, the challenge here is that the land is becoming scarce due to the growth of population. So these are things which disturb governments a lot.
As we celebrate the Peace Day, many times when celebrations come, people just go there to celebrate. How do we take stock of the issues that we think we are in the peace agreement?
Yeah, I would like to say it's an appeal now. Now that we are in very, very peaceful situation. I would like to appeal to the community to maintain this peace. You know, it was not simple to make peace. Much as we talk about maintenance and making of peace, we still have challenges. Luke Barakari participated fully in this, peace negotiation. They were in Garamba. Luke Barakari also participated, met Connie. The representative who went was my predecessor, the Prime Minister. He was in those jungles of Garamba, Nabanga, and many other places. He went there to represent the Lugbara people because we still strongly believe in peace. The Lugbara are peaceful people, hard-working, and they believe in integrity, love, and hospitality. These are the Lugbara. I want to appeal to everybody that we continue to maintain this peace. Where we see challenges, let us bring them up, discuss at table, and solve them, rather than picking a gun and then hitting somebody. That way we shall not make any progress. We have come very far and we need to go ahead with the peace and the development program because we do not want to see interruptions. The challenge again becomes during the political seasons when people go to polls to vote and so on. There are normally a lot of games that happen that even bring, problem for the population. Somebody stands 2, 3, 4 people for the same position, and this is not, very soft. It doesn't work very well. Ugandan experience is that hatred is at its peak when people are doing elections. So we are praying, we are saying that come the elections, let us maintain our peace and move forward. That's the appeal.
Okay.